Hi folks, this is Abel James, and thanks so much for joining us on Fat Burning Man, where we talk about real food and real results. I have a very special show for you here today. Our guest is the one and only Kurt Morgan, the 47-year-old grandpa who transformed into a fat-burning beast in front of our eyes on ABC's My Diet is Better Than Yours. I've been getting hundreds, maybe even thousands of requests and comments about when we were going to have Kurt on the show, so I'm so glad that we finally made this happen. Let me just say that Kurt and I have been so overwhelmed by the positive emails, comments, and feedback we've received from you guys in the fat burning community throughout the show. Getting half naked to weigh in on a reality TV show on national television, especially when you weigh 352 pounds, is a harrowing task. It took a lot of courage for Kurt and the other contestants, and we both thank you sincerely for all of the incredible support. Some good news to report. The Fat Burning Man podcast has now hit #1 in health for the 5th year in a row. So thanks so much, and please keep the reviews coming. So Kurt has showed America that you can really be happy and healthy at the same time, and now he's here to tell the whole story. Now, before we get to the show, here's a quick reminder that you can get a huge discount on the best meal plans we've ever put together. If you've been inspired by Kurt's story and want to get results from the Wild Diet, check this out. You can get the exact meals that Kurt ate while he was on the ABC show to lose 16 pounds in a week, 57 pounds in 7 weeks, and a total of 87 pounds in just 14 weeks. He went down from 352 pounds to 265, and man, am I impressed. He's such an awesome guy. I can't wait for you to hear this show. Kurt also dropped an astounding 22 percentage points of body fat with the Wild Diet, more than doubling the results of most other plans on the show. And now you can try this at home. After years of researching and coaching the most effective, permanent, and healthy principles behind rapid fat loss and total body recomposition, we developed the Wild Diet 30-day fat loss program. Since then, many thousands of fat burners from all corners of the globe have lost 20, 50, or even more than 100 pounds with the Wild Diet. But more importantly, they're changing their lifestyle. They're changing the way that their body works from burning sugar to burning fat. And that's exactly what we want to do. So in this program, you'll get the most effective nutrition plan to best stimulate fat loss while preserving muscle. That part's really important. The exact recipes and meal plans I gave Kurt during the competition so you can enjoy chicken parmesan, chocolate pudding, and even cheesecake while dropping fat. The facts about how much fat and protein you really need for optimal health, 30 days of fat-burning Wild Diet meal plans to get you rapid results, and tons more. And if you grab it today, you'll even get a listener discount. All you have to do is type in from any device, tablet, computer, mobile, this URL. It's fatburningman.com/30 days. That's the number 30, DAYS. Once again, that's fatburningman.com/the number 30, DAYS, 30 days. I have some other good news. I know a lot of you have been writing in saying you've had a hard time getting your hands on the Wild Diet book. It's been sold out in a lot of bookstores, as well as sold out on Amazon for almost the entire month of January because of the ABC show and the results that Kurt was getting. And I'm stoked to say that it's finally back in stock at pretty much every bookstore as well as on Amazon. So check out the Wild Diet book. Right now, there's a discount on Amazon. You can get it for just $10. And if you really love it, you can grab an extra copy for a friend or a family member. You can also leave me a review on Amazon, iBooks, anywhere you're reading the Wild Diet book. I really appreciate the support. Finally, if you want to meet Kurt, myself, Allison, Alicia, and all of these other thousands of fat burners from across the world, if you want to ask us your questions, we're all part of our online coaching community called the Fat Burning Tribe. You can meet us yourself in the members area, ask us your questions. We're here to help you. All you have to do is visit fatburningtribe.com to join us for a special discount. That's fatburningtribe.com. All right, on to the show with Kurt Morgan, my star contestant from ABC's My Diet is Better Than Yours. On today's show, you'll learn the surprising foods Kurt enjoyed to become fat adapted. Did somebody say chocolate pudding? How Kurt lost nearly double the body fat of every other contestant on the show, why Alicia, Kurt's wife, lost more weight in the first 7 weeks than any female contestant on the show, how to drop fat quickly with minimal exercise, and much more. All right, let's go hang out with Kurt. Hi, folks. I am pumped to be here today with the one and only Kurt Morgan, who lost 87 pounds in just 14 weeks, starring on My Diet is Better Than Yours. Kurt also is basically family at this point, and I'll just tell you that he is basically the best collection of cat t-shirts that I've ever seen in my entire life. So Kurt, thanks so much for being here, man.
Oh, thank you for having me on your show.
I know that you don't even understand how many people have been rooting for you this whole time, but the success that you've had following this real food diet that you've been on for the past few weeks has just been so inspiring to so many different people. But in case people, I mean, the TV show didn't necessarily show that much of your backstory, which is incredible, you know, where you came from. So can you take a step back and basically just tell people where you were a few years ago, a few months ago even, and how sick you were?
Yeah, definitely. You know, in 2006, I had a head-on collision, and I actually ended up breaking my neck. And I spent the next year in the hospital going through surgery after surgery, laying on my back in hospital beds at home, just being, you know, where you can't move, you know, and you pack on a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I thought it was over at that point, but I was always not really feeling very well. And so basically what I found out was in 2013 that the metal they put into my neck was actually contaminated with staph, and it was keeping me sick for years.
Yeah.
So they had to go in and remove that metal. Well, I had gotten a blood staph infection from all that, and they had to put PICC line in my heart for antibiotics, and my body didn't like the PICC line, so it threw blood clots in my lungs. Mm-hmm. And then I recovered from that, and then they went in and took the metal out, and I actually got E. coli from the surgery and had to go get rushed back to the hospital. So it was a very trying time. So for 13 months, I pretty much laid in either the hospital or in my bed at home sick, you know, and it was a horrible feeling just not to be able to do what you needed to do, not to take care of your family, be off work that much, and just feel really horrible and feel like you were a burden on your family, you know, and at that time, you know, through the middle of all this, my first grandchild was born, and I couldn't see her. I couldn't be around her for the first 3 to 4 months of her life. I couldn't hold her, you know, and that to me was a wake-up call that I needed to get healthy.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I started on this journey. We started in late September for the TV show, and I had only been back to work 9 months after being sick.
Yeah.
So, you know, being the oldest contestant on here, you know, I knew that it was going to be rough for me, but I needed to make the change, you know, for me and my family.
Yeah. And you definitely had the motivation and the dedication, and more than anything else, the positivity. And we're going to talk about that. But I remember you told me, and I don't remember the exact number, but the amount that your medical bills were in a year. What was that?
And the total amount was somewhere $3 million.
That's astounding, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the biggest things when I first met you, and we came into this blind, right? We didn't know each other. We basically met each other on national television. But hearing your backstory and the fact that they'd taken out a lot of the muscles around your neck and spine, also wanted to limit the amount that you were lifting, and the fact that you were, you know, you're 6'5", also like a massive man, and I could tell that you also used to be strong. You know, you have like a nice build underneath all of that, and so I was really excited not only to get you into a better body composition and better health, but more than that, you know, the prescriptions that you are on are something that aren't good to take long term. And myself, when I was in my early 20s, following, you know, traditional Western medicine, I was on like a half dozen different prescriptions that, you know, supposedly I'd have to be on forever. And you're told that it's just crap genetics, or you're getting older, or, you know, you got sick, you put on weight. That's just the way that it is. It doesn't have to be that way. And so from the beginning, I know it was so cool to meet you in person, but we were just like, man, okay, I guess we're in this thing together, because being on a reality TV show is pretty taxing, right? We have a lot of 12-hour days. We have a lot of stress. You were still working your day job at the same time. You still have family responsibilities. You're doing everything. It's not like The Biggest Loser. You're not on some camp where you're exercising all the time and they're controlling what you eat. This is your day-to-day life, and very stressful. So how did you manage stress, especially at the beginning of this? Because I think your positivity and and the way you were able to handle all the things that were going on around you really separated yourself from the pack.
Well, yeah, the stress of the show, from the beginning was very high. And I knew that I needed to make this change because I want to be around for my grandchildren. By the time the show came out, I had 3 brand new grandchildren in 12 months.
Right.
So, and it's I wanted to be there for them. I can't be sick on the couch. I don't want to be the old grandpa that lays on the couch and doesn't do anything. I want to be active.
Yeah.
And it is real life. There was a lot of stuff going on from the beginning of the tape, and I had so many things go on at the beginning that people were like, how do you cope with it? But, when you come from a really dark place in the past, you don't ever want to go back there. So you don't let things get you down. You just, whatever life throws at you, you just keep on going. You pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get back up on that line and go.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, skip ahead. Why did you choose the wild diet for your plan? Because you had different options, right? And there were very different options.
there was a lot of different options. The wild diet, in the short synopsis that I got from the show, it seemed like it was real food, and it's I've been on crash and fad diets. I did the HCG injections from a doctor, and I was only on 800 calories then, and I felt horrible. Yeah. Looking at the plan that I got, it was real food. It didn't seem like a diet, and there was a little bit of room for cheats in there. You had cheesecake and bacon cheeseburgers, and that just struck a nerve with me. It's like, look, if I can eat real food and still lose weight, this is the plan for me. Yeah.
Did you think, when you first saw that, did you think that it would work? Because when you were cast on the show, did you ever expect that you would win?
Well, everybody wants to win. Let's put it that way. Everybody's got a competitive side, and I thought I could have a pretty good shot, knowing that I probably would be the oldest person on the show. I know it was very limited, and the amount of medical history I had would limit the amount of physical activity I could do. So I knew it was going to be an uphill challenge, but I started it for the right reasons. I didn't care about the grand prize or the money. I did it for my health. That other stuff was just icing on the cake if it happened.
Yeah. It's all kind of it's funny when you separate real life from TV or what people see on the other end of reality TV, because it's absolutely not the same thing. But I think from the very beginning you had this incredible positive energy. Grandpa Meanie doesn't give up. That was like our mantra throughout the whole thing.
Well, you can't give up, because in life, if you give up, you're done. And I've come so far that there's no way to give up. There is no stop. You keep on going. You pick yourself up. You dust yourself off. Everybody has bad days and good days. Yeah. You celebrate the good days. You just say, oh, well, to the bad days, and you keep on moving. If you live in negativity, it consumes your life, and I choose not to live like that anymore. Yeah. Now, what about, so let's go through the first week. We were just thrown into this crazy thing. The show itself was put together way last minute. I didn't even think I'd be there, and then 24 hours later, we're shooting for this thing. And you're thrown into the same boat. When we went out to get, grass-fed burgers with bacon, a little bit of cheese, and other things like that, what were you expecting to lose the first week? The first week, I figured 3 or 4 pounds. Because actually the first week when we did it, we really weren't on your plan as hard as we should have been. We were kind of trying to figure out logistics and what we were doing, and we still hadn't really gone shopping that much. So we were just kind of like eating what I had in the house. Because we were too busy filming. I wasn't expecting a big number, and I was flabbergasted when we got on the scale, and that's what came out. Yeah. And for those of you who didn't watch, Kurt won the first weigh-in, losing 16 pounds in the first week. And you weren't counting calories ever throughout the whole competition. At the beginning, too, we weren't doing really intermittent fasting or anything like that. It was basically just getting you fat adapted, which meant making sure that you were eating fat instead of carbs and sugars to make sure that your body was basically building the biochemical machinery to make sure that you can run on fat in the long term. And also, I wanted to earn your trust a little bit at the beginning, because a lot of people, they don't believe that you can lose fat this way. They don't believe that you can get incredible results by eating these foods. Not in spite of eating, bacon cheeseburgers necessarily, but sometimes because of it. Because you're getting quality proteins from pasture-raised healthy meats. You're also getting quality fats, which your body loves. And especially if you've been eating
processed food for a long time, you're not getting the quality fats, especially the omega-3s, which can be really beneficial for getting your health back. At the same time, got you started on doing daily bone broth. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the daily bone broth, I was a little bit skeptical at first. I'd never seen it. But then the way you explained it was basically we're making beef broth. I mean, that's the way my grandparents did. They always had a pot on the stove, and they made their stock and soup from it. So now, I mean, we make it every couple of days, you know, and it really does help in the intermittent fasting after we got into it, because you have that nice, rich, fatty broth, and it takes you through the whole day. You get a lot of energy, your minerals, you know, just coming out of the bones, you get calcium and your collagen, which helps your joints. And, you know, I mean, it just fueled you. After I drank the bone broth, I didn't need coffee. I had energy the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. When you're running on fat, all of a sudden it's like go mode, and your brain starts to feel a lot different. So what was it like, you know, eating the way you were before compared to the way that you, not just looked, but the way that you felt, your mental state? How did that change?
Well, you know, eating all the processed foods, I felt very sluggish, very foggy. Like I was always in like a fog, you know, and a little bit was that from the medication, because statin drugs kind of cause short-term memory loss. And after the third week, I was totally off all my medication.
Yes, and that's what I'm most proud of. We were up by by the third week, it was super fast.
Yeah, so I mean, after that, my energy was up. You know, it sounds funny to say this, but, you know, I wear glasses, and my vision actually improved from getting off the processed junk.
Right.
I had more energy, more stamina. I slept better at night, which, you know, everything all in all just made me a healthier person at that point. You know, I didn't realize how bad I felt until I got off the junk.
Yeah. And you never really see us eat vegetables on camera, because they wanted to brand us from the beginning as being this extremist fad diet that has butter in its coffee and all this fat and whatever crazy stuff they wanted to kind of brand us as. Even if they, you know, it's so funny because looking back at it, we're in like the color of bacon. We truly are team bacon from the get-go. But the truth is, you were eating like twice as many vegetables, 3 times as many vegetables, even more than that, as meats throughout this competition, right? So can you talk a little bit about the importance of veggies?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, your protein is important, but your veggies give you a lot of the nutrients and minerals you need, plus a lot of natural fiber. You know, I like I like Brussels sprouts, and what's better than Brussels sprouts and bacon? I mean, you saute them together. I mean, that's a meal in itself. Yeah. You know, protein 3 to 4 ounces. People think I was eating 24-ounce T-bones. That's not the case.
Well, maybe just the first week.
Well, the first week we did eat a lot of meat. But, you know, it was more whatever protein I was eating double the amount of vegetables. Yeah. You know, just to get all the goodness out of the vegetables, you know. And I don't cook my vegetables till they're done and wilted. I like them all crunchy. I like the natural. I try to eat them as raw as possible. Yeah. You know, I think that's so you get your best benefit out of each one you eat.
Yeah. Can you talk about what it was like when you were with some of the other contestants, especially at the beginning? Because we weren't really supposed to, but since we were filming for so long, we were in these little pens together, right? And sometimes we'd eat together. And so you got to see what other people were eating. They got to see what you were eating. Can you talk a little bit about how that went?
Well, you know, we all ate together, and we tried to eat as healthy as possible and on our plans as possible. But, you know, from day one, you taught me that natural fruits in moderation were good, but don't eat grapes. They're the worst thing for you to eat. And I'm sitting there, you know, eating my chicken and salad, you know, grilled chicken and salad with some balsamic vinaigrette. And people are eating a whole bag of, you know, grapes. And I'm going, that can't be good for them. That's almost 100% sugar. You know, I mean, one day I did stop and get Waffle House on the way in because it was early. I was running late. I didn't have time to make my breakfast for that day. So, and it was talked about on the show that, you know, I was eating Waffle House. Well, it was eggs and bacon. That's it. I didn't have waffles and grits and toast and jelly. It was just protein. I just got scrambled eggs and bacon. And sometimes it's about, you have to stop somewhere. You have to live your normal life. You have to make the best choice possible. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did.
And a lot of this didn't make it on camera, but when we were filming and on stage or whatever, we would be talking about the fact that you were eating, because of your job, like you work out of your car, you're super busy or whatever, you've eaten the wild way at fast food restaurants, chain restaurants, places that basically you shouldn't be able to eat healthy at all, you were able to make it work. Can you share some tips about like that fish place that you go to, right?
Yeah.
Captain D's. Every Friday you go there with work people. At the beginning we were talking about this. You're just like, well, Abel, you know, like we go here every Friday. I don't want to be the guy who's just like, well, I can't eat here, or like I won't eat here. It's a very communal thing. It's part of your business meeting, right? Like you want to be there with people who you're working with. You don't want to feel like you're outside of a group. So how did you make it work at Captain D's?
Well, you know, Captain D's is the fried fish place of the South. I mean, it's just everywhere. But there's always healthier options. They do have a grilled menu, and you can ask for it. Can I get no butter on that? And it all comes with rice and fries. But they do have better options like broccoli. So I'll go and I'll get like a shrimp skewer and a piece of whitefish that's grilled. I'll say no seasoning, no butter on it, no rice. Give me double broccoli, and I drink water.
Yeah,
you know, and people look at you kind of funny when you're ordering this at a fried fish place. But now they know when I come in, they know my order, and it's automatically. Yeah. So, I mean, they're used to it. You know, my friends all look at me and go, you know, hush puppies? No hush puppies. You know, I mean, I'm eating clean, you know, and they're really taken to it. They've started cutting out on the mac and cheese, and they're getting broccoli, little step by steps for them.
Isn't that cool? Once you start making the right decisions, at first everyone ridicules you, they're making fun of you or whatever. Then all of a sudden they're like, wait, what did you order again? I guess I'll have that.
Yeah, I mean, they follow suit because they see, you know, they see the transformation I was making. Yeah. And they're going, wow, you know, I mean, that's just from modifying what you're eating. That's awesome. Yeah. So, you know, and they've all started, I mean, a lot of people that I work with have said, you know, I've started implementing some of the stuff from the wild diet, and I'm losing, you know, 3-4 pounds a week. And it's really easy, and I'm not hungry. I'm like, that's the beauty of the plan. Yeah. It's not a diet. It really doesn't, it never felt like a diet.
It's like, it's not a diet, it's a nutrition plan that allows your body to work in a completely different way than most people's bodies work today. Most people are, and you and I both shared this experience before we started eating this way. You are up and down in energy. You feel like you really need food. And I know at least I was hungry all the time. When I was eating carbs, it was like my hunger was always there, and I had to deal with it. And I had to like try to on purpose eat less all of the time and not let any meal or snack or treat. I tried to make sure that it didn't get carried away, but I felt like I was always censoring myself, always like down on myself, always like I could have eaten less or whatever. When you switch that way of eating to basically burning fat like you are now, if you don't have good food around you, a lot of times you can just shrug your shoulders and be like, I don't mind waiting another hour or two or whatever to have a decent meal. You also can go through the mornings without feeling like you need to have breakfast and then a snack at 11, and then where are we going to go for lunch, and then what are we going to do for an afternoon snack when you get that lull in energy, and then what are we making for dinner? I mean, it's exhausting. So I think one of the powers that you had too in learning to burn fat on this show is that you could withstand a lot of those long days that we had filming without completely losing your mind, without getting cranky, without getting short at people, without exploding on camera. And you saw a lot of that with some of the other contestants, which shall remain nameless.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. You know, and it's such a transition from burning sugar to burning fat. Because when I was a sugar burning man, it was, I'd have a boost of energy, and then I'd be on such a low that I'd want more sugar to take me up. And, you know, like I told you before, when I was going and doing the elliptical, you know, for low impact, when I was sweating and not getting the sugar, I could taste the sugar in my sweat. It was coming out of my pores. Yeah. It took about a week to get it out. Now I don't like sugar. I don't use sugar on anything.
Yeah. Now let's talk about your workouts, because a lot of people were working out a ton, right? You had Jeff doing his 2-a-days with Jay camping out in his front yard doing boxing workouts and intense stuff like lugging up weighted backpacks upstairs, and you had Jasmine, who was basically running a lot the whole time and doing a bunch of other exercises. And she started the competition in really good shape. And then a lot of the other contestants were working out all the time. But you were really focusing more on the lower impact stuff, getting the fat burning type cardio, right? Where you're doing walks or you're going on the elliptical to kind of get things moving and make sure that you're building some muscle mass, mostly just to keep up with the challenges, but not to actually burn that much fat. So were you surprised by how little you could actually exercise while still winning every single week?
Yeah, definitely. I knew going into it there was no way I could exercise like some of the younger contestants with all my medical background.
Yeah.
But I knew just not sitting on the couch and moving would be my biggest advantage because I had not moved in so long.
Yeah.
So they show a little bit of us doing some workouts, but most of it was just walking. I walked in my subdivision, and as you know, I got some pretty big hills in my subdivision.
You do some awesome hills.
And I would just go for a walk at night. I'd get home from work and go for a walk, and I'd walk at lunch during the week instead of hitting a fast food restaurant. I'd walk around a mall or outside. Just to keep myself moving. I think that's the most important thing. You don't have to go to the gym and just knock it out. I did go to the gym and do some cardio and do some pool work, just to make sure I was keeping up with the younger people.
Yeah.
But that wasn't all the time. I don't want people to think you have to go to the gym and kill yourself.
Right.
Because this was all mostly diet. It was just keeping myself moving, not being a glutton of stuff that I really like licorice. That's my favorite candy in the world is licorice. And, just just going out there and moving to me was just so important. Yeah. And it could be fun. I could do it with my wife. We took the grandbabies out for strolls with the strollers and made it a family affair. So it didn't seem like we were really working out. It just seemed like we were having family time.
Yeah, so awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about calories now, because we've been attacked for this, which is totally ridiculous. But so you mentioned you went on the Hcg diet where you were getting injections. You were eating about 800 calories a day. You did that for like 3 months, right? And I think you lost like 37, 40 pounds. How much was it?
Yeah, like 38 pounds I lost.
Yeah.
But it was a horrible way to lose weight. I felt horrible.
Right.
I had no energy. It just I couldn't get on the elliptical and do half a mile. I had no energy. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So going wild though, you were eating a lot more calories than that, and you were also losing at a much steadier clip. So in the same amount of time, instead of losing 37 pounds, you lost 87 pounds. And this is the type of weight loss, which is specifically fat loss, which allows you to keep that fat off for good because you actually kept your muscle.
Yes. Yeah, it was pretty wild, everybody's been going on about how many calories we ate. And, I'm not an expert. I'm just a normal guy, salesman every day. I didn't count every calorie I put in my mouth. We never counted calories for the show. That was never part of your plan. It was like, eat good food.
Yeah.
That was it. Eat when you're hungry and when you're full stop. That's it.
Right.
So I'm a normal guy. I might say something that might not be 100% accurate on the scale. And they went off on it. It's okay. I know what I ate, and I know that I didn't count handfuls of almonds or walnuts, and I didn't count butter in my coffee or butter on my broccoli. Or all those add up.
The bone broth fat.
Exactly.
Other things like that. You were focusing. So we were having you focus on making sure you got your bone broth every day, making sure you got your greens every day, making sure you got a good amount of high quality protein every day, and basically eating when you were hungry. And so at the beginning, you were eating a lot more than the other contestants. I know that for a fact. And you were eating some of the richest food of any contestant for sure. But over the course of time, as you adapted more and more to burning fat, you found that you actually filled up on less food. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, the later on in the show that it got and through your plan, I was in ketosis the whole time. Ever since week 1, I got into ketosis. And it made me not hungry. I didn't really need to eat. And if I did eat, it was just a little bit and it sustained me.
Yeah.
So my body was fueling itself. I didn't need, I had plenty of stored fat on me for my body to burn. And that's, your analogy of the big grizzly bear going into hibernation, it eats from itself, through hibernation. That's what my body was doing. It was supplementing what I wasn't getting by my natural stored body fat like we're meant to do.
Yeah.
So, which was perfect, and I didn't rob from my muscles. I still kept about the same amount of muscle.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it was really good. I really liked the transformation, and not having to work out like I did, just walking. Who thought you could lose this much weight just by eating and walking? Not me. When I started this, I was like, yeah, let's see how this goes. But no, you were true. After the first week, you had me hooked, dude. I said, I'm with you to the end.
Well, that was the thing, too, right? Because the twist is that you could have eliminated me from the show at any time. You could have kicked me off.
Yeah, but how was that an advantage if you won the weigh and you got first to choose kick your trainer off? That didn't seem like an advantage to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. But so on the body fat loss, a calorie thing, it would have been, if you were restricting calories to what they showed on air, you would have lost a lot of muscle mass. But when we look at the actual numbers, you went from 52% body fat when we started at 352 pounds to 265 pounds at less than 30% body fat, which is astounding. That's 22 percentage points lost, which is more than double of the other contestants in terms of fat loss. Now, Jasmine, she went from 200 starting weight, I think it was, lost 53 pounds, was at 147. But she only lost 13 percentage points of body fat percentage. And it's interesting because one of the reasons I wanted to go on at this show is to see the way that different dietary and fitness strategies played out, especially next to each other. And we've known for a long time that especially once you transition to burning fat, it protects your muscle, especially when you combine it with a bit of strength training, which you were doing to preserve that muscle, and eating enough, and especially getting adequate levels of healthy fats and proteins. And so the Biggest Loser style of losing weight, we're all very familiar with, right? Because a lot of people on this show have also, have ties over there or whatever. We see how that plays out. A lot of people don't keep the weight off. One of the biggest reasons for that is that they're eating so little and they're exercising so much that you can't do that forever. You lose a lot of muscle. It's hard for your body at rest to basically burn through the energy that you need to not only maintain your muscle mass, but also make sure that the fat doesn't come back. Because as soon as you have that little treat, or as soon as you twist an ankle and then you can't go out and run 5 to 10 miles every day, the fat comes back. And the fat comes back a lot faster when you lose the muscle. So do you think that this is something that you'll be able to do long term?
Oh, no, this is my way of life from now on. I've got my kids eating it, my granddaughter's eating it. I mean, this is the way our family lives. So, I mean, you can come over anytime, look at my pantry. There is nothing processed except for some of the baby food in my pantry. It's all fresh. Yeah,
it's awesome. And they didn't show this on camera either, but we went into your pantry and your cupboards at the beginning, and it was just packed with foods that actually, not all of them looked like junk foods. Of course, there was some licorice and stuff like that. But there were a lot of things that, you and your wife, Alicia, that you're pulling them out and you're like, this is healthy, right? Because it's like low in saturated fat, or it's low in cholesterol, or it has no fat, or whatever. And it was such like a cool thing to help you turn it over, read the labels, and be like, that's not real food. So what is some advice that you give to people who might think that what's in their cupboards is healthy, but isn't?
The best advice I can give people is what you told me. Don't look at the nutritional values right off the bat. Look at the ingredients. They hide carbs and sugars in everything. Yeah. So if you see something you don't know what it is, you probably don't want to eat it. If it's, a word that's got like 12 letters in it, it's probably not good for you. Yeah. So I like to eat the stuff that has the least amount of ingredients in it as natural as possible. And I think that way, your body will get used to all the natural food that it should be eating. Yeah. Right. Eat fresh whenever possible. Eat fresh, eat local, eat what's in season. Yeah. I mean, if it's not growing locally, it's going to be shipped in from somewhere else, and you don't know what they've done to that product to make sure it's fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the other coolest things that didn't make it to camera is while we were being attacked by Jeff and all the other contestants, a lot of kind of interesting things came out. But so the fact that Alicia got the results that she did, your wife, she was never counting any calories either. She was basically just eating with you in a lot of cases and still going out and cheating. But at that point, when we were getting attacked and they were accusing us of starving ourselves or whatever, Alicia was down. She'd lost like 33 pounds, right? Which is more than all the female contestants.
Yeah. She had lost the most of anybody any female contestant on the show, and she wasn't as strict as I was. Right. She was still having hot wings, and she had a Coke every once in a while, so she wasn't as strict. Right. So, I mean, that's just a testament to how good the plan actually is.
Yeah. And then another big thing that came out too, which I was bummed that this didn't make it to air, but Rob and Latasha really defended us. Rob was basically just like, this is the plan that I'd be doing if I were in this position. And Latasha's just like, listen, I've seen Abel eat, and he is definitely not starving himself. You want to talk a little bit about like what it looked like when I was eating compared to some of the other coaches on the show?
Yeah, definitely. I'm almost twice your size, and at lunchtime, you were out eating me 2 or 3 times to 1. We'd have our little lunch, and then you break out your survival pack, and you'd be eating chicken legs and bacon, and then a smoothie, and then something else. I was like, dude, seriously, you're hungry? You're like, yeah, this is great, And everybody else was like, really? How's this little guy eat all this stuff and stay so thin?
Yeah, you do. On TV, you make me look like an elf. It's hilarious.
It's kind of funny. Some of the pictures that came out with me and some of the other trainers, I look like Gigantor next to some of these people. I'm like, wow. You don't really realize how big. I had lost a lot of weight at that point, but how tall I am compared to other people.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny looking.
Yeah.
And awesome. You know what they didn't show on the show, which was we didn't get a chance to say, but from day one, a lot of the other trainers were at their contestant's house every day.
Right.
They're every single day. And from the get-go, once we met, I said, hey, in order for me to do your plan and be sustainable for a long time, I can't have you there every day. I have to learn it. I have to buy into it. So the general public doesn't know you were only with me when we were filming. The rest of it, I did on my own.
Yeah. And that is such a huge testament to the fact that this works, right? Because a lot of people get such the wrong idea. And this is, a lot of it comes from the fitness industry, which is one of the biggest industries on earth, right? They want you to think that you have to exercise and buy all these gadgets and weight training machines or go out and get these new shoes every year to go running in or whatever if you want to lose weight. But the fitness part, if you want to be a cardio bunny, that's great. If you want to go and run all the time, it's certainly a lifestyle, but it's not at all necessary for losing fat. And this is, a show that's related to diet and nutrition. And I'm not a personal trainer. I've never claimed to be a personal trainer. I'm more of, a nutrition coach or a life coach in a lot of situations, right? Because this is all about your mental state, especially once you get the simple aspects of nutrition down, the fact that you should be getting your veggies in, you want to get your fiber, your food's fresh, you go for the highest quality meats you can find and afford, wild-caught seafood. It's pretty straightforward, and the rest of it is just deciding that you're worth it, realizing that you don't need to be punishing yourself with a bunch of exercise in order to get results, and just kind of like sticking to the plan, which you were able to do because you saw that it worked, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. From day one, after you showed me the plan and I read the Wild Diet book, and me and my wife actually talked about it, we were like, this is sustainable, This is not a diet, this is a lifestyle change. And I think it's just because it's real food. It's real good food. It's what makes it so special. I don't ever feel deprived. I mean, I still have my 88% chocolate if I need something, with a little bit of kick, and everybody has a cheat day, if you want to eat something, but I've learned from you that if I'm going to have a cheat day, then if I'm going to go out to a restaurant and it's something that I really want, I'm going to go to the best restaurant, eat the best food I can, that's going to be for me.
Yeah.
And that's on your plan. It's really taught me is that you have to take time for yourself. Make sure you hear yourself first. Listen to your body, and your body will tell you what it needs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it may say you need sugar. You got to tell your body, no, you don't need that. But there's other ways to get sugar. By you telling me to boil the sweet potato instead of baking it, it reduces the glycemic index of it, and you get the carb load a little bit. So if you are kind of sluggish, it fuels you up, but you don't feel like that sugar crash after you get done doing something. So and what inspired me is reading your book is that you came from a place where you were overweight and you were sick and you're on medication, and you went to traditional medicine to try to heal yourself, and it was working opposite. So you had to dig deep in and do something that would work for you.
Yeah.
And you're a living testament that the plan works, and now you're able to share. This is what worked for me. I need to share it with the world, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So when I remember when you and Alicia first met, Allison and myself and our dog too. You were like, I remember it was interesting, right? Because we're both trying to earn each other's trust and figure out who we are. Because as far as I'm just some wacky trainer that this reality TV show brought in and set you up with or whatever. But I remember you and Alicia are just you're kind of looking us up and down. They're just like, did they know what they're talking about? Is this guy going to work? Can you talk about that experience a little bit?
Well, when you're overweight and you've tried a lot of things, when somebody comes into your life that's very fit.
Yeah.
You always kind of get, well, does this guy really know where we're coming from? You and Allison, are like total specimens, fit and trim. And we're like, okay, these young guys are going to come in here and tell us what to do. Do we really think that's what's going on? But, the more we talk, you talk to us, not at us, which was one of the most important things. If somebody talks at you, you have a tendency to shut down. So you really talked to us and got our feelings and, well, how do you like this? And you think you can make some of these changes. So, you got to teach an old dog new tricks. I'm an old dog. You taught me some new tricks. So, I mean, it's all good. Now, if you would have came at me like another trainer with really in my face, I probably would have shut down and we wouldn't have had the success.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right about that. And that's such a lot of people who are listening, they are trainers or they are coaches or doctors, and it's so important the way that you work with someone. You have to treat them like real people, and unfortunately, I think in a lot of cases, it's hard to relate on both sides, right? And I've talked about this on some other shows, and Drew Manning, who I recently had on the show, Fit to Fat to Fit. Have you heard about this, Kurt? Did I tell you about this?
I just watched a couple episodes, and it was. I hated they gained weight to try to help their people because they put themselves in jeopardy. But at least they knew what their contestants were going through, and they had a little bit more sympathy. I saw them struggle with some of the stuff they could do real easy.
Right.
So it's real phenomenal that they did that. And most of the contestants had fabulous results.
Yeah, isn't that so cool? But you see how emotional and mental this all is, because food is definitely, it's the most important thing, but making that happen in your real life, when push comes to shove every single day, that's the hardest part. So how do you do that?
It's holding yourself accountable. For such a long time, I didn't think I was any better than just go to get a cheeseburger at a fast food restaurant. Well, you know what? I just need to get something to eat. Now going through this journey, being sick, meeting you and Allison and Bailey, and changing my life, I'm not depressed anymore. I mean, there was years where I did suffer from depression because I was so sick and I felt bad. Now I feel wonderful. I want to be part of my grandchildren's life. I enjoy doing things with my grandchildren and my children now, and I'm worth more than just that cheap 99-cent hamburger. I mean, it really, I mean, I owe it to myself to put good things into my body. I need to know where they come from.
Yeah.
And that's me taking accountability for my own actions, because it's so easy just to blame society. So, well, there's a fast food restaurant on every corner. That's why I'm fat. No, I put it in my mouth. I control what goes in.
Yeah.
And it is mindset. You have to change your mind. Jay was, teaching Jeff. He was trying to get into Jeff's mind because Jeff could do the diets, that's no problem, but Jeff had to change his mindset. And I think the biggest competition everybody has is the hurdle in their own mind. And I had to get over that hurdle first off to know I may be old. I might have been sick, but you taught me, just go slow. If you can only do 2 more minutes than you did yesterday, that's great. Or 30 seconds more. Every day you get a little victory in something. And, that's what I learned through this whole process, to celebrate the little things. And if you don't have a good day, brush it off.
Yeah. So let's talk about how hard it was, because once again, what you see on TV isn't reality. So
no.
For you, it was always interesting walking up with you to the scale, because number one, I mean, it's hard to describe how much anxiety is in the room at that point, right? Because everyone's attacking each other, whether it makes it to camera or not. Every week that happens, right? And we dodged the drama for a long time until that final week, and then they're just like, okay, this team needs to be attacked now or whatever.
Yeah.
But, for you, one thing that you always said to me with pretty much every weigh, and despite the fact that you lost 16 pounds the first week, an average of more than 7 pounds pretty much every single week, you're just like, I don't feel like I'm changing. I don't feel like I'm losing any weight. I don't know if this is working. I know I'm sticking to the plan, but I just don't know. Can you explain where you were coming from an emotional, mental standpoint throughout all of that?
Yeah. When you're so big for such a long time, you have a very low self-opinion of yourself. And no matter what you do, no matter how much weight you lose, you still see the overweight, heavy guy, and I see myself in the mirror every day. So maybe I don't notice the changes that people that haven't seen me for a week will notice.
Yeah.
So going up to the scale, I mean, I know I did what I needed to do, but I just, I didn't feel it. We didn't weigh ourselves during the week. We did it at the show. So there was really no gauge. It was just how good we think we did on our plan and how much exercise we got. And I always said I wanted to lose so much weight, and as long as I didn't gain, and it was a victory. If it was a half a pound I lost, which was great, it was on the way down.
Yeah.
But, just going back to getting out of your own way, because in my mind, no matter how many inches they said I lost each week, I didn't feel it. you know, until the end where I kind of I got out of the shower one day, I looked in the mirror and I said, wow, I'm not as big as I was, you know, and, you know, I started seeing pictures from the beginning to the other, you know, till, you know, right then I'm like, wow, I can see the look in my face, you know, because when you see yourself every day, you don't notice it. Right. You know, you have to compare, you know, and that's the biggest thing I've learned. Don't worry about the scale. The scale's a number that doesn't define you. You know, how your clothes feel, you know, take pictures every week, see how you compare to the last week, you know, because you can tell a lot in a picture. Because you see yourself like other people see you in a picture, because you know, you don't really tend to really pay attention to yourself that much. So, you know, picture tells a story, and you can see your story if you just cell phone it and you know, in a mirror every week. You know, click, that's me, and then you can compare. And the scale may say you've lost nothing, but your pants may fit better. You know, I mean, you may feel a little bit better in your skin, and that's really what it's all about. The number is just a number. It's how you feel, you know, how your clothes feel, and if you're a happy person. To me, that's it. I mean, I would like to lose. I'd like to get down 235. You know, that's my Navy weight. But you know, if I can lose 15 more pounds, be down to 250. That's what my son weighs right now. That'd be perfect. Me and my son wear the same size pants. So, and I'm a lot older than him.
So you started at like 48 size waist? Right?
Yeah, I was 48, and they were kind of tight.
Yeah. And what pant size are you wearing now?
Today I'm wearing a 36.
36. That's so freaking crazy. It really is.
I was wearing a 3XL shirt. Yeah. And now I'm wearing a large, sometimes extra large, depending on the shirt.
We're like twins. I just need to grow a little bit more. But seriously, that's so awesome. Now, when you were going through this, though, you felt like you might not be making changes. But people at work, friends, family, people who saw you, what were they saying to you?
You know, I'd see my friends on Fridays, and they were like, dude, you look like you're losing weight. And I'm like, yeah, you're just saying that. And, you know, they were very supportive. Friends and family were always supportive of it, you know. I mean, just the outpouring from my neighbors and my kids. And, you know, it's touching to know that so many people care about you, you know. It's through all this with people that have liked my Facebook page and through the Fat Burning Tribe, you know, I've gotten such an outpouring of love, and, you know, people that were kind of in my shape, you know, that, hey, you know, I've been through a lot of medical stuff. You've really inspired me to get off the couch. You know, to me, that's the best compliment I could ever get. You know, I mean, if I want to help other people, you know, you started me on this journey. It's my time to pay it forward. I need to take what I've learned and pass it on to somebody else that can change their life. And let's go from there, you know, one person at a time. Right. And I think I got a visitor coming in.
Nice. Hey, what's up, guys? Oh, Luna makes an appearance.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your positivity, because I think throughout the competition you kind of see different things going on with the various teams. The two, it always seemed like it was Dawn and Jasmine versus Abel and Kurt, right? It was like the Wild Diet Superfood Swap. You guys had a lot of things in common. And I think the most important one is that you were super positive the whole time. And you also believed that you could do it. Can you talk about how you guys were kind of like pacing each other?
Yeah, you know, it was a little competitive right there between me and Jasmine. I'm a competitive person, and so is she. So, you know, we wanted to make sure that we kind of fed off each other a little bit, and, you know, and be positive, because there was so much negativity sometimes around on the set, because everybody wants to do real well. And if you don't do well, you know, people get angry, and they might deflect on other people. But me and Jasmine talked from the beginning, and we said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're going to be positive, because we want to show the world that you can lose weight, and it doesn't have to be a strain or stress on you. You know, we want to make sure we portray a great image. And especially for me, I'm a professional salesman. You know, I don't want my customers seeing me out there just being mean and nasty. Right. You know, that wouldn't be good for my business. And it wouldn't be good, you know, if you're training me, if I was a mean and nasty person, you know, that wouldn't be good for you either. That wouldn't show your wild diet in a good light. Yeah. So to me, it was so important to be positive. And, you know, my granddaughters and my kids we're going to watch the show. Yeah. And, you know, to me, it was more important about showing them that, yes, I'm an old man. I'm 47 years old. I'm a grandfather. But if I can change my life, they can do anything they want to do. Yeah. You know, if Luna wants to be, you know, an astronaut, she can do it. She just has to try. And that's the biggest thing I wanted to get across to them.
Right.
Is that you can do anything you want. You just have to set your mind to it.
Yeah, I love it. Now let's talk about the food a little bit. What were some of your favorite meals while in a weight loss competition?
Well, the chicken parm was excellent.
Yeah.
The beef short ribs were phenomenal.
Awesome.
And, I am a cook, so I took some of your recipes and did my own flair to them, because to me, if I'm going to eat something, it has to be something I like. So if it's an ingredient I don't like, I'm going to substitute it with an ingredient that's nutritionally equivalent that I like. Mm-hmm. So I've done that a lot. I've made some really good bison chili.
Oh,
it was really good. No beans, all natural, organic spices. I mean, I try to change it up so we don't eat the same thing over and over and over again. I will have to say the bacon cheeseburgers and a collard wrap, we've eaten a numerous amount of times around my house. I mean, it's delicious. It feels like you're not on a diet. It feels like you're cheating.
Yeah, it does. It's so luxurious and indulgent. And obviously, we're not eating that stuff every day. It's just kind of like, it's a funny part because no one else in that competition, especially, were eating that way. And they were having to give up chocolate, cheese, solid food, all sorts of various things. But what does that look like if people walk up to you as they do now and they're just like, I saw you on TV. How did you do it? What do you say to them?
Basically, all I say is I change what I put in my mouth. I decided to eat the right way, to eat natural, grass-fed beef, to get GMO, antibiotic-free, everything, wild-caught seafood. I'm like, what you told me from the beginning, abs are made in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And I believe that 100%. So, you don't have to work out. Just change the way you eat. And you don't have to do it all at once. Mm-hmm. You can make little changes. And little changes will spur weight loss. It's amazing how well it really works. It's still got me, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that I'm eating this delicious food and I'm losing weight.
Right. And you look so much younger. It's crazy. So we were able to text back and forth over the holidays and Christmas or whatever when we were, that 7 weeks of separation. But I remember you sent me, it was a few weeks before we filmed the finale, you sent me a picture of your face and I looked at it on my phone and I'm just like, dude, is that thing squished? Did you use one of those distortion apps on your phone or something? No. Because holy smokes, you look like a completely different person. Were you shocked?
Yeah, it takes a while to get used to looking at yourself like that. I mean, I lost so much in my neck and my face. I was so round, right. When I look at pictures back then, I just had a pie face. And now it's a lot more thin. And it's kind of like when I was in my teens and early 20s, I'm kind of getting the thinner of me back. So it takes a little bit getting used to. I'm still not used to not having the mustache and goatee because that's been my trademark for so many years. So that may be coming back for summer.
I like you baby-faced. But so talk about this, though, because, and this didn't make it to camera, but one of the biggest things that you wanted to do was go rock climbing, which obviously at 352 pounds wasn't going to happen. But tell us what happened just a little while ago.
Yeah, actually, my son and daughter-in-law invited me to go to an indoor rock climbing place, and I'm scared of heights. I am terrified of heights.
Yeah.
And I decided, you know what? Since I'm under the weight limit, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give it the try. And the first time I chickened out, I tried to get up there and I was a little scared. I'm not going to admit I'm terrified of heights, but I got more comfortable and I made it to the top, awesome. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I mean, it was, Luna's over there playing in the background. She was excited for me too. I did pay for it because my knee was killing me afterwards.
Yeah.
So, and which, the show really didn't go over a lot about my knee injury from the beginning. They kind of played that off as, you see me with it wrapped and, they didn't really put much stock into that. And then as I found out, I had an MRI and I actually fractured my tibia probably the first week of shooting. So I did everything on a fractured tibia.
Right, which is crazy. Not to mention all of the, spinal things that you had going on. And so, the option just wasn't there to go out and run all the time. And I'm glad that it wasn't because in a lot of cases, it's really not the best way to lose fat. It could be the best way to lose overall weight, but you're sacrificing muscle And oftentimes, you can cause a lot of injuries if you're gunning it from the get-go. On The Biggest Loser, you see that all the time. People, basically break themselves and then regain all the weight later. And that's obviously the opposite of what you want if you're doing this for health. And one of the things, like promises that we made to each other at the beginning, I'm just like, listen, Kurt, when they cast me on this show, I told them that they're measuring it wrong, right? You need to, if you're looking at health, which they claim to be looking at, you want to look at body fat loss, not percentage weight loss. And for you, being the oldest one in the competition, one of the biggest challenges as you get older is maintaining your muscle mass, because you don't really die of old age. You die of your body breaking down, organ failure, losing your bone mass. And that all starts with losing your muscle mass. So for you, more than anything else, we wanted to make sure that we were protecting that muscle, burning that fat. And I was just so impressed by how well you were able to do that, get the plan, and then just nail it. And I think the fact that, you almost lost Allison. Right? In terms of body weight, like almost. It's crazy.
Well, I don't suggest that people that watch the show that are my size do some of the exercise we did on the challenges. It was really hard on your body.
Yeah.
The stairs and the frog jumps and the burpees. I mean, that was so hard that, you really will hurt somebody. And, Jeff did speak up and say, we're really overweight. You're going to have us do things that people that our weight shouldn't do. I mean, we had to do it because that's what they want us to do on the show. I mean, so we gave it a try. I didn't want to ask for modification due to my previous medical history, because even if I couldn't do it, I wanted to try to see if I could. And that was the important thing to me. Even if I failed at doing it and I couldn't do it at all, I wanted to try. If I couldn't do it, oh well.
And
but I wanted to do it.
That's what I loved about working with you, Kurt, because it was just like, for you just wanted to do it because you had been told so long that you couldn't do it, you were too big, you were too broken, you were too sick, or whatever. And so you just have to kind of succumb to the fact that you'll be sitting on a couch for the rest of your life. And it doesn't have to be that way. Now, you shouldn't go out and do frog jumps and burpees or what have you if you're, as overweight as you started out as. But the fact that you were able to go out there and do it anyway is, I think, just a testament to the fact that you are so mentally strong. And that is one of the biggest secrets to all of this, is that you need to be mentally strong. I think Shaun T really was able to communicate that throughout the show. He's such a positive energy, he has a huge heart, wonderful guy. So I'm glad that he was there really rooting everyone on too.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. I always said you have to change here, because if you can't do it in here, it's not going to show up right here in your stomach. I mean, it's so hard to change yourself. I mean, that's, when you point the fingers at somebody else, you got, 3 pointing back at you. Yeah. So it's hard to look at yourself like that and say, hey, I've got to do what's best for me and what's best, for my body and my family.
Yeah.
So you have to be positive. If you get down about everything, you just become miserable, and nobody wants to be around a miserable person.
True. Now, we're coming up on time, Kurt, but just let's leave people with one piece of advice. Out of everything that you've learned so far and all the things that you've experienced, what would you say to someone who's listening on the other end who might need a little boost or a little bit of advice to start getting awesome results?
The biggest piece of advice I could say is listen to your body. It's going to tell you what it needs and what it doesn't need. Mm-hmm. It's going to tell you how far to push it and when you can't do it anymore. And to treat yourself like you would treat your show car. You want to give it the best possible fuel. You want to put in, the premium oil. You want to, just take care of it. That's your body. You only have one body. You've got to take care of it, and you've got to start now. And if I can come off being so sick and being in the hospital for so long and make this transformation in 14 weeks, anybody can do it.
Love it. I love it. Kurt, obviously you've been getting so much love from the wild, primal, paleo communities, anyone who watched the show. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
Well, right now I do have my website open. It's kurt.morgan@myfreesites.net. I'm posting things on there, every couple weeks as I can put my new meal plans on. Everything on my website is free. I don't charge for anything because I want to help as many people as possible. Awesome. They can also join my Facebook page at Kurt Morgan, the public figure one. I do have two. If they would like to send me a friend request, I take them all. I like to help people on their journey. I'm just a normal guy, average guy. You can talk to me. I've talked to probably thousands of people already to help them on their way. Actually, today I had a guy that was he was eating lunch with some coworkers and said, "Hey, I'm at a restaurant. Here's my choices. What do you think?" And I texted him back what I thought would be a good plan for him.
That's awesome.
So, I'm here to help people. I just wasn't in it to change myself and be selfish. I want to help other people. And that's, now that I've learned so much from you, I want to pass it on to people.
Awesome. Well, Kurt Morgan, you are a wonderful man. You're like family now. I love you, man. You're welcome back on the show anytime.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for everything you've done for me and my family.
Before you go, don't forget to grab your listener discount on our 30-day fat loss plan. In this plan, we share 30 days of mouth-watering wild diet meal plans that are designed to help you drop fat with real food. The meal plans are paleo-friendly, easy to make, and literally the meals that my wife Allison and I eat just about every day and night to stay lean, fit, and happy. In the program, you'll get the most effective method of meal and nutrient timing to best stimulate fat loss and muscle recovery, the truth about how much protein you really need for your body type, 30 days of specific healthy, fat-burning meal plans as a done-for-you nutrition strategy, and tons more. If you check it out today, you'll even get a listener discount. All you have to do is type in fatburningman.com/30 days. That's the number 30, DAYS. Once again, that's fatburningman.com/30 days. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Fat Burning Man. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the podcast app, or wherever else you might be listening to or watching this show. Got a second? Please leave me a quick review on iTunes. I always love hearing from you, and if you think someone else might like and benefit from this free show, please take a second to share it with a friend or with a family member. You can get in touch with me on Twitter at FatBurnMan and Facebook by typing in Abel James or Fat Burning Man. Drop me a line anytime. Did you know that I've recorded over 150 episodes of Fat Burning Man, winning 4 awards in independent media and hitting #1 in more than 8 countries? And here's some more good news. You can download and listen to every single episode for free. All you have to do is type in fatburningman.com. I'll give you a second to type it in, fatburningman.com. And you'll get all the show notes in video and audio versions for all the past episodes of Fat Burning Man. Better yet, enter your best email at fatburningman.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'll even send you a quick start guide to start burning fat right now and a few of our ridiculously tasty recipes as a special thanks for signing up. Once again, just go to fatburningman.com right now, enter your best email to get your free fat burning download straight to your inbox, and make sure that you never miss a show again. This is Abel James signing off. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great week.
You have to be connected to self in order to move ahead. And actually, it's interesting. My podcast that I'm doing this week is about change and being naked and comfortable with who you are, and knowing that these small steps, no matter how